com. Today, I'm going to share a story from Paul, and it's coming all the way from Bradford, West Yorkshire, UK. I am not going to try to do an English accent and totally embarrass myself, so I won't try to do anything funny. This guy's pretty funny, though. So he says, where most of the year it's colder than a witch's, winter is not the best time of year to get clean. So, on with the story. I started drinking and using drugs at the age of 13, 14, quite simply because everyone else was, and it seemed cool at the time. My friends sold weed, speed, and ecstasy. It started out being a weekend thing, and I used my paper round and milk round money to pay for it. One weekend I took so much speed that I couldn't pee and ended up in the hospital with a serious kidney infection. You'd have thought that would have been the end of drugs for me. Nope. A year later, I got my first full-time job and was working 12-hour days and then partying from Thursday till Sunday. Mondays were shitty, but then I'd do it all over again week after week after week. Then one day, an older bloke I worked with asked if I'd ever tried brown. I never heard of it. My parents had never even seen drugs, let alone used them, so never spoke of them. But I was ready and willing to try it. So on the Friday, I had my first few lines of brown, which is heroin. Wow, the rest of the day just melted away in a happy, warm, relaxing, and safe feeling. I was operating heavy machinery at the time, and how I managed not to injure myself in between nods, I don't know. It started like most folks, just doing it once a week, then twice, then every day. Eventually, me and my scoring buddy stopped going halves and started using alone, going behind each other's backs. I remember one day I was dope sick and asked him if he could sort me out. He said, no, I haven't any money. I eventually borrowed some cash and scored, only to find out my so-called friend had scored earlier that day and could have helped. You don't have true friends in this game, only ones that try getting something out of you. No truer words have ever been spoken. The game is all about yourself, and we all know that. Each day became the same. Wake up, sick, get to work, and try borrow money, but we were both at it. So it didn't take long before people were suspicious, and the only people we could borrow off wanted interest on top. So when I got paid, it literally went in one hand and straight out the other. At this point, my habit wasn't so bad, and I reduced down and managed to book a lad's holiday to Benidorm, Spain, for 2 weeks to get clean. But as soon as I got back, I thought I'd just dabble. Bang. Just like that, my habit was back tenfold. Fast forward 2 years, I decided to quit my job and get clean for the second time. I got a referral to a methadone clinic by my doctor. Big mistake. I was on it for about 18 years and detoxed cold turkey several times, which is a hell of a lot more painful and drawn out. I stayed clean each time for a month or two, then always fell back in. Usually the triggers were the same old shit, like bumping into a fellow user, you know, the ones who only talk about dope. Then they'd offer to introduce me to the latest in a long line of dealers with the best stuff in town, which they all say, as long as I sorted them out for the introduction. I always did my best to try ignore them, but if they were persistent enough, it didn't take long before the voice in my head told me it sounds good, just try it one last time. So I did, and only this time was different. I got introduced to crack as well. Snowballing to be exact. Bad, very bad news. People would sell their own granny to get it. I burnt through the money I'd saved up and then lied, stole, and cheated to get my hands on the stuff. Things that make a saint swear. At this point, somehow I managed to get myself a good job that paid good money plus a company car even though I was using. Then I met the love of my life. Things were looking up, but very fast, I was lying to her about where I was, missing tea times and dates because I was scoring. Then I found out she'd got a lot of savings, so I started borrowing off of her. I lied about so many things to her to get her money, like people were going to beat me up if I didn't give them money. I even punched myself in the face several times and cut myself saying it was the people I owed money to, just to make her feel guilty and hand over the cash. As soon as she did, I'd always make my excuses to leave and go score. Anyway, I don't know why, but she stayed with me, and I got clean again and fell in love with her all over again. Life was good again for a few years, going out for meals, going abroad every year, but I was still on the methadone, and taking that on a plane is embarrassing because of the liquid ban. Security would scan my backpack and take out the methadone in full view of all of the airport. Not good for me or my non-user girlfriend. We always went all-inclusive, and so I started drinking heavily with the endless supply of already paid-for booze just because I wanted to get messed up. I was having beer with whiskey shots as soon as the bar opened at 10 a.m. This carried on at home, and that's another beast to deal with that creeps up on you, but that's another story. Things plodded along okay for a while, then she kept nagging me to quit the methadone and saying, it can't be that bad, just be ill for a few days, and I'd say, be ill for a few days, I wish, more like months. What the fuck do you know about it? Nothing, that's what. And this became a regular argument. The relationship broke down, so with no proper friends and no girlfriend, I turned back to the only thing I seemed to know. It was back in a bigger, badder way. I started running dope, and with numerous visits and chases from the DS, which is the drug squad, I ended up in prison again. I came out clean, even though it was easy to get dope inside, and some people actually went in clean and came out with a habit. Crazy. My life on the outside quickly came to a head, and once again I picked up where I left off. The same cycle. Start using, blow my money, commit crimes, get caught, serve time at Her Majesty's pleasure. Swear it'd be different the next time, but unfortunately I was just lying to myself. Even when I ended up in hospital after getting beaten up and got run over trying to get away, I wasn't safe as the dealers delivered it to the front door of the place. So, more years blew by doing the same thing. Get up, get money, score. Finally, 2 weeks ago to the day, the money dried up. I pawned everything I had. I borrowed every penny from various people. Ticked all the ticks I could from dealers. I was even watching a crappy old black and white TV I found. Rock freaking bottom. I tried ringing my drugs worker, who never phoned me back except for the receptionist, who couldn't get me in till next month. What can I do? What can I sell? Who can I rob? Questions, possibilities swirling through my mind. Then and only then I found myself crying, a shriveled wreck. Then I said to myself, it's time, man up and deal with it. Midwinter, not a good time to deal with withdrawals. All the usual shit. Puking and shitting myself at the same time. Aches, pains, hot and cold sweats with a stench that put a tramp to shame. Stretching, RLS, sleepless nights, not being able to get comfortable, and the list goes on. People say one day at a time, but they never mention that the day drags on and on and on when trying to get clean. And just remember, I'm coming off a 21-year habit. I looked on YouTube for advice. A lot of people swear by hot bath showers, but when it's freezing outside, once you get out of the shower bath, the cold air feels like dying from 1,000 cuts. And yes, I've been stabbed before, and it's no fun. I also once had a dealer put a gun to my head because I was a few pounds short, but even that didn't put me off previously. I don't know what's different this time. Maybe I've finally grown up, who knows. But I'm now on day 14 and I still feel like shit warmed up. But I have some money in the bank, which I was petrified that once it went in, I'd just do it one more time for old time's sake. But I went against the grain and deleted all my contacts to the dark side and gave my cash cards to my mother. I wish that I could say I've turned a corner, but I can't, as I've said it all before. It'll be different this time, I mean it, in quotes. Knowing full well that if I even so much as stubbed my toe, I'd use that as an excuse to score, but thankfully I haven't. At this moment in time, my symptoms are no energy, miserable as sin, stretching, and those shitty chills that run down your spine. But I just keep telling myself that even though I want to use, it'll undo all the hell and back I've been through. People say try exercise. I tried riding on an exercise bike. I did 5 minutes on the easiest setting whilst listening to Mama Cass, and my legs were burning so much I had to stop. I couldn't do any more than that, but I'll try again. Who knows? I might do 6 minutes next time. Anyway, the next thing is to get my driver's license back, but I've got to do a course after getting a chase from a drug squad friends in the constabulary. Anyway, for the guys out there doing the dance with withdrawals, well, he's keeping it real. He says masturbating helps, and weed, and then at night help to sleep. The blokes out there will know that when you're in withdrawals, just wearing tight underwear can set you off. Now, he's talking about men in particular, speaking from experience. When they go through withdrawals, they're extremely sensitive downstairs. Anything can set off them to just go. So he mentions that quite a bit, but I won't go too in depth with that. I've done videos on that. He says, one thing is for sure, drugs will ruin your life. That mofo will creep up on you and take, and give nothing back except more shit to deal with. It took the girl I truly loved, but sadly I couldn't sort myself out, not even for her, and she moved on without me. She's got a good job and a nice bloke. I wish things would have turned out different between us, but I kept pushing it, thinking she wouldn't leave. But after 8 years of ups and downs, she did. People will only take so much, then kick you to the curb. In hindsight, she should have blown me out years ago. I lost everything. Money, house, cars, my dignity, but my main regret is her. But like I said, life will and does move on, or with or without you. So give your head a shake and sort shit out before you're left behind with your thumb in your ass, wondering what went wrong. Well, the sad truth is that I did this to myself, and it's not as though I didn't have plenty of warnings that I'd ruin myself. I did, but chose to ignore them, thinking it'll be okay, but trust me, it won't. Get help from wherever you can and kick that shit into touch. I wish I could give some pearls of wisdom, but I have none. No matter how much people plead with you to get clean, you won't, unless you want to for yourself, because it's you who's going to go through crap to get clean. Some people find religion. I tried praying when I was curled up in a stinking mess on the floor, but got no reply, so it didn't bother after that. I realize that I'm not alone in this dance, but if it works for you, do it. Pray to the bloody wall if it helps you. Anyway, I've rambled on enough now, and the way I look at it, I'm writing this email, so I can't be that bad. Day 14, life does and will go on without you, so the question that you've got to ask yourself is, do you want to be a part of it or just another statistic making dealers richer? Fuck that. Sorry for the swear word. One thing that pisses me off here in the UK is that once people know you've been a user, it sticks with you. I went for a walk the other day and someone shouted smackhead, which really pissed me off. They don't know what shit I've been through. Who are you to judge? Especially when they're snorting coke off public toilets. Like that's any better. I did think, what's the point when people think this of me? But no, I'm going to use that anger to prove myself. I can and will do this time. Ha. Anyway, good luck. We all need some of that. So he sent me a shamrock. And I know every man and his dog says, if I can do it, then you can too. But I've had a 21-year dependency in one way or another. It's hard work, bloody hard work, but doable. Peace and love, people. All the way from where's the fucking sun gone? Freezing cold Bradford, West Yorkshire, UK. So thanks, Paul. Thanks for sharing your story. I mean, that's intense, dude. It's a really, really good thing to share. My favorite part of your whole story is when you're talking about being on the bike. And that 5 minutes hurt your legs, so next time you'll try 6. That's the attitude you need. Just don't give up. If you want to share your story, you can email me at ryan@compsupport.com. In the subject line, put YouTube story, my story. Let me know if you want to use your first or last name or stay anonymous. Leave some love or advice for Paul down below, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.